Going live. Almost there. Live. Well, I. There you go. I haven't said well, I for a while. There you go. That's my northern twang coming out in me there. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to VUX World with a little bit of northern twang today. I'm delighted to be joined by Amitha Pulijala, who is the VP of Product for AI, Video and Platform and Video APIs at Vonage. And I'm also joined by Lawrence Byrd, who's the Director of the Communications APIs at Vonage as well. Amitha, Lawrence, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Nice to have you here. So we're going to get into a really good conversation about the Vonage AI Studio. We're going to be able to pick your brains about your observations on trends in the market and all that kind of stuff, challenges around developing and building conversational AI solutions. Can't wait to dive into it. For those of you who are die-hard VUX World fans, you will recall the conversation we had with Noam Fine. I think it was like a year and a half ago or something like that. We had Noam
Yep.
on, and so for context, for those of you that are not aware, Noam founded a company called Over AI, and Over AI was a conversational AI platform. It was acquired by Vonage, and we interviewed Noam. I don't think it was right when it was acquired, but it was not too long after, I don't think.
Mhm.
And
It
it
was,
seems as though over the... Sorry, go on, Lawrence.
yeah, it was January 2021. So when we acquired Over.ai in 2019, so we'd
All right.
been getting going within Vonage, which was good.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, so over the last, I would say, year and a half or so, then, and before then, there's been a lot of work going on by the sounds of things, and now Vonage AI Studio is a thing. It's published. It's out there in the world. People can go and check it out, which we'll encourage you to do so, and we'll get into the conversation about that, which I'm excited for. Um, Before we do crack on, I want to let you know that the Voice Summit, VUX World at Voice, is coming up, and it's in not too long now. It's on October the 10th through to the 12th, but VUX World at Voice is on October the 11th. Vonage are going to be there. We've got Ericsson there. We've got AWS there. We've got Core AI, presented by Core AI. We've got Speakeasy, which has recently been acquired by Verint, so now it's technically Verint. We're going to be sharing case studies of enterprises that have been implementing conversational AI in their contact center, and we're going to be helping you do exactly the same thing, automating your customer experience using conversational AI. You do not want to miss it. A full day of programming. We've got a bunch of networking events going on as well in and around that. And so if you are interested, if you haven't got your ticket yet and you want to make a last minute ditch for the plane, then go to voicesummit.ai and use the promo code VUX20 to save 20% on your tickets. There is some tickets left. But we cannot promise that they'll be there when we do this broadcast next week. So voicesummit.ai and promo code VUX20. So with that, let's get into the conversation. But maybe first we'll do a bit of an introduction for those people who are new to Vonage. Maybe Amitha will start with you and will give us a little bit of a background around yourself, what you do at Vonage, and for context for the couple of people who might not know what Vonage is, tell us what Vonage is.
Sure. Hello, all, whoever is watching. My name is Amitha Pulijala. I'm the VP of Product at Vonage for AI, Video APIs, and Platform Services. My background is essentially in engineering and technology. And before joining Vonage, actually, I spent many years in the digital customer experience space. And I've seen the industry transform from providing a more reactive customer experience to truly understanding the customer needs and crafting AI driven digital experiences, right, through various chatbots, voice bots, text, video, and it is that combination of insights from multiple channels that's driving deeper customer engagements. So in this process, I've seen many companies trying to innovate. So they want to serve their customers better. They want to move faster. They want to beat the competition. And what else can you get to go faster than to innovate than APIs, right? So, and that was my inspiration to join Vonage. And as you know, Vonage has been in the communication space. Vonage has APIs and apps. And at Vonage, AI is core to our Vonage communications platform that powers both our APIs and applications. And our customers use our APIs to build applications. So it is a natural extension for us to explore and expose AI interfaces. And we have been on this journey. And as you said, you had this interview with Noam a few years ago. So we have been on this journey for a few years now with chatbots, virtual assistants, and we have learned a lot on the way. And we are still learning a lot with every experience. And I can't wait to share more about what we have, what AI Studio is all about, and so on. So that's where I'll.
Nice. Nice one. Thank you. And what about yourself, Lawrence? What do you do at Vonage? And what brought you stateside? Because you were originally from the UK, is that right?
Yes, I'm now in Silicon Valley, but once upon a time I used to be English, but I gave it up and became Californian. I brought up in the south of England, went to Durham, and then Edinburgh. And if you keep going north, you end up in California. And what brought me to the United States was artificial intelligence. So I was part of the 1980s, I'm old enough, boom and bust of the first wave of AI that failed and disappeared. So I'm a strong believer in Geoffrey Moore's crossing the chasm theory, which is technologies have to cross this chasm, because I saw an entire industry go down the chasm and you couldn't use the word AI for several decades to name any product. And now you're not being proper if you don't name every product having something to do with AI. So these days I work at Vonage in APIs, marketing and evangelizing our APIs, and looking at how the new wave of making conversations smarter can be used by our customers. APIs are great fun because your customers are really smart people trying to build innovative applications all over the place. You know, some of them fail, many of them succeed, and it really is a playground of interesting applications. So that's what's fun about being at Vonage.
Nice. I suppose I'd be interested, maybe Zamitha, in why you would think that it is, or why you said that it's a natural extension for Vonage to look at AI services, because it kind of feels like a natural extension for some. If you look at a lot of the other CCaaS providers, for want of a better word, including Vonage, you've got kind of like you're having conversations. So there's technology that facilitates conversations between humans, and therefore it feels as though it's the right thing to do to be able to look at ways in which you can streamline or automate those conversations. So is that what you meant by the natural kind of extension? Or is it something else to do with the fact that AI services being accessed via APIs and it's a natural extension of the API suite? What did you mean?
I should say both, right? And we, as you said, we have seen many vendors in the industry who have CCaaS solutions, and definitely it's a natural extension for them, because I think we have been talking about AI in context of a contact center for a long time, right? However, if you think about APIs and what our customers using APIs, they really do is they innovate. They come up with several different use cases, and not just one API, right? Multiple APIs. So we have SMS APIs, voice APIs, and video APIs. So we have customers building text applications or messaging applications, voice applications, video applications. And when they start blending some of these different channels together to provide that kind of engagement to customers, that is where the power of AI comes into picture. Basically, that is where you are creating the conversation between different channels to engage the customer, right? And you are injecting or infusing AI into these moments of conversations. And this is where we feel that natural extension. So it's not just isolated to the contact center use case, but to any innovative application that these API customers come up with. So just to sort of give you an extension of where this natural thing came in, and why did we even start thinking about AI in context of APIs, right? So we do have, as I was saying, we do have AI, and we started with AI with over AI acquisition, and we were building chatbots, we were building virtual assistants in conjunction with our Vonage applications, CCaaS and UCaaS applications. On the other side, right? So we have thousands of customers of every size across huge breadth of industries, and these are API customers. And we talk to them about solutions that they need to improve communications with their own customers, and what do they need, and what do they need to make their applications more efficient, and what do they keep building over and over, right? Because when we talk about APIs, we are talking about builders, right? So we are thinking about what are they trying to build over and over, and what do they actively do not want to build because it's too heavy of a lift, right? And these are the conversations that inform us what we need to build. And I like to highlight 3 points here, right? The first one is the one thing that we saw in this process of discovery is that our customers who are developers are essentially building experiences, right, with our APIs across different channels, as we talked, across messaging, voice, video, and different channels. And basically, the need of the hour is to introduce that conversational intelligence into these interactions. And the ability to know precisely what the intent of the customer is from these multimodal conversations and make them more engaging. And that's the reason I said AI is the natural extension of the communication here. And the second one is really the operational challenge, right? So when it comes to operationalization of anything around conversational AI within an enterprise, one of the biggest challenges is scaling, right? It's scale limitations because of the complexity of the area and heavy dependency on AI engineers, data scientists, or even external professional services. And if we bring in that self-serve, low code, no code features to the platform, it'll allow for speed of that implementation and more control in hands of the business users, ease of use, and addressing these scale challenges, right? It's almost like democratization of the AI, if you will. And the third one here is really there are aspects of processing text and voice, right? So it's essentially the automatic speech recognition, text to speech, which help us in these multimodal AI conversations. And the goal here for us is to provide a wide breadth of consistency of conversational experience across these multiple channels. Basically taking the voice, and voice is just more than the speech to text, right? So taking the voice and integrating this with a human, getting the intent and correlating all together is not an easy thing, right? It's definitely complex. It requires uh, AI engineers, and it requires R&D investments, and that's where we bring this out as APIs, APIs and tools that we can expose to our customers, and they build their applications over it, right? So, in fact, actually, we are essentially talking about one, really helping our customers design their communication flow. And that's where the AI Studio comes in, where we provide a user interface where they can design the flow across different multiple channels like WhatsApp, APIs, HTTP chat, and so on. Uh, and then there is this analytics, right? The capability of using the NLU APIs so that they can build these natural conversation workflows. And we provide these pre-built templates and so on to help our customers build their workflows. And then there is the aspect of bringing all together, right? So you have insights, you have data from multiple channels, you have your entities created, you have your intents created. So how do you make all that actionable, right? Whether you want to take that as part of the sentiment analysis or deeper customer engagement, and these are the things that we want to bring out with our AI solutions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. So the AI Studio, from hearing, I know I've seen it, so I'm familiar with it, but kind of like, I suppose, in summary of what you were saying there, the AI Studio is an environment where it's taken the heavy lifting out of developers for building conversational applications by turning into APIs some of those tasks that would have been repetitive or arduous, and also in bringing together all of that conversational AI technology into one place, with it being inside the Vonage infrastructure, it gives you the flexibility then to be able to deploy conversational solutions into whatever channel you kind of want to, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
The the question, maybe Lawrence, will come to you. The Vonage is a company that has infrastructure that people can just build anything they want on top of, and so it's you can basically build a company on top of Vonage APIs if you wanted to, and lots do. And so, if I was to utilize the example of like Lemonade, the insurance company in the US that basically runs on conversational AI, is the AI Studio, in the same way as the Vonage suite of APIs generally are used by developers to build products and services that could be essentially a business on top of it, is the aim of the AI Studio to do the same thing and give rise to other lemonades, which is businesses built on conversational AI? Or is it more focused predominantly on integrating with the CCaaS component to automate call center conversations? How would you describe where it fits?
I would say we're doing both, but the former, and I'm going to come to that, is absolutely important. But Vonage is somewhat unique in that we sell unified communication solutions, we sell contact center solutions, and we sell the underlying APIs. So, and we also sell a new area that maybe we'll mention called conversational commerce, which is something particularly coming out of Asia and into Europe. Is you can buy everything through messages, whether it's WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever it is. With your thumbs, you complete the entire transaction. So that's a commerce use case. But we aim to invest in both the API level and the application level. So we have contact center customers who are using, we are typically helping them, but we're using AI Studio as a way of building their applications for them. But the fundamental goal of APIs is to be invisible building blocks. So whether it's a telehealth application or an education application or a finance application or an insurance application, people come to APIs because they're saying, well, part of my application's got to talk to the customer. And I don't want to work out how to do video or voice or WhatsApp or SMS. And I certainly don't want to work out how to do all of those if I need to mix it. So I come to the APIs and then I embed it in my application. And those people, they're building businesses. They are, as you say, independent businesses going to market with their applications that just happen to embed our APIs. But now they're saying, well, in my application, I need to be smarter, right? How do I start to add AI? And I'm busy, if it's an insurance use case, I've got all this insurance stuff, I've got workflows, I've got screens, I've got apps. But now in the chat, I want to understand what the customer's saying, or in the voice call that maybe comes from the application. Before I route it to a contact center, I want to have a conversation, I want to make decisions. Then our AI technologies just add on to their existing API use and say, okay, now I can make those conversations smarter. I like to think that, if the other end doesn't understand you and can't talk, then it's not much of a conversation. So if you really want to move to this world of two-way conversations, you necessarily have to start injecting more smarts, more AI, and that's the tools we want to provide to our app builders who are builders of their own applications. And as Amitha has pointed out, they have plenty of things to worry about, and they don't want to worry about how do I get AI in? Where on earth do I start? We want to say, well, you just start here with a tool that you can already be using to build flows, but now you want to do NLU, you want to make some decisions. That's all in there. And it's a very incremental approach. APIs are very, as you said before, pay as you go, incremental, get started, and then incrementally build.
And I think there's huge value in that, especially for those that can utilize APIs and got the skills to do that, because it really lowers the barrier to entry as far as costs concerned for getting started with conversational AI. I think one of the barriers for some, not necessarily, it is a barrier, but it's like the perception of that you need a full technology platform and you need to buy it up front and pay a license for it and then pay a bunch of professional services on top of it just to get a pilot out the door is kind of like it can be a real barrier financially. Whereas the value of the API driven approach and the kind of pay as you go sort of approach is that you can test yourself, you can learn yourself, you can start really small, you can test use cases internally, doesn't really cost you much at all. You could even put something live to a customer and run a proof of concept, and it really won't hit the bank because you're not going to put loads of volume behind it. And so there's definitely, I think, merit in terms of those getting started in trying to automate. Using that kind of tool set, I think, is absolutely perfect. What I'm kind of curious about is that you have different levels of technology when it comes to this landscape. So you've got kind of like the bare bones, which I suppose is a lot of Vonage communication APIs. If you were to, you could build a contact center yourself using Vonage communication APIs. You know, like that's the bare bones approach. You can assemble whatever you want to assemble and have full control over everything you want to build. In the middle of that, you've got kind of more of a platform approach, which is everything's already kind of pre-built and you just configure it, which sounds a bit like the AI Studio, drag and drop, low code, easy to use. You don't have to get really under the hood. And then at the other far end of the scale, you've got like out-of-the-box use cases, pre-built assistants, you know, pre-built language models, that kind of stuff. Curious about kind of like, I would say the AI Studio is maybe in the realms of being a similar thing to like a Cognigy or something like that, you know, like a drag and drop kind of visual flow builder. Maybe the Google Dialogflow CX is a similarity. What do you think that, or what do you, in building this thing out for the last kind of 3 years, what are some of the things that Vonage AI Studio does that either makes things easier? You don't have to name platforms, but like what does the AI Studio does that's either solving something different that other platforms haven't yet solved, or what is it that you would say is like this is the reason why you should use the AI Studio versus another platform, so to speak? If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, right? So as you mentioned, there are different levels at which we provide solutions, right? So again, I think it's not very different from if you look at any APIs that we provide. So we have power users, so users who are very excited to build on our platform. So these users are essentially have that developer genes in them, and they actually come and use their development skills, language skills to take our APIs and build something really, really innovative, right? So that's one set of developers. And now AI Studio is actually democratizing it. So if you are a developer or a non-developer or a business user, you can use this. And then, as you mentioned, right, there are customers who don't want to do all this, right? So they want to focus more on their business case. And if they need support, we provide them with professional services, managed service packages, so that they can just come to us. We build the conversational flow for them, and we maintain them as well. However, I think what I see and what we have seen over years is these are not siloed, right? So we might have customer who really wants to come in and do a POC, right? And they would go to the AI Studio very quickly. They build something and they see that this is actually adding a lot of value over and above to what they provide to their customers as their solution. And then in order to push it into the production level where the dynamics of having a production level service is very different from dynamics of having a quick POC, right? They might find themselves restrained in terms of people or processes or even skills to maintain and manage something. So they can move from the development mode to a more of having working with us on a managed services mode, right? So I think we see some of those customers who are not just in that realm, but who want to have the flexibility of moving from building something really at a core API level, having that control, to maybe having little easy things to do something very quickly, to moving to a more managed service level. So that's one set of customers. And the other set of customers, and these are the customers that are already using our APIs, right? So These are the customers who have been in the Vonage ecosystem. They are used to the Vonage at the API level, and they are using one or more of our APIs. So they really want to come in, and it's a natural extension for them as well, right? To use AI in their conversational flows, and that's where they prefer. They could go and get a third-party tool, AI tool, and integrate a third-party AI tool in their conversational flow. But it makes more sense for them to really use the same kind of self-service interfaces, same dashboards that they have been using for all other APIs, and similar kind of pricing model, the statistics reports. It makes things much easier for our developers, right? And I think third category of customers, I think customers who are building everything new. I think even from that perspective, the customers who are building everything new, they look at what is that end-to-end platform that a vendor is providing. And we provide different channels. So if I'm a business, let's say if I'm a restaurant business and I start with a similar small SMS channel and I want a quick chat bot, then my needs grow. I bring in voice as well, and I want a voice bot. So as my needs grow, is there a vendor who can provide me with all the other capabilities, not just from the channel perspective, but also from the AI perspective? So and that's the second reason. And again, I think there are aspects when you go at the enterprise level, there are aspects of privacy, sharing of data, integration. And I think most enterprises have very strict requirements on how do you share data between different third parties, and how do you maintain that data integrity, and so on, right? So we have already solved some of those key enterprise capabilities in terms of data security, language support, and compliance across our APIs. And I think that's, again, a natural extension of providing that capability to our customers on the AI side as well. So I think if you look at just one set of developers who are looking at these UI tools to develop something quickly, they definitely have a choice. But Vonage brings that huge ecosystem of APIs and the flexibility of pricing, because again, it's an API, right? So you use a small amount of voice APIs, and you can use a smaller amount of AI in terms of traffic. So the flexibility and models in terms of pricing, and also that wide variety of help, right? Whether you want really go deep dive, you're a power user or you're a business user. So I think that's where we bring in that differentiation into the market.
That makes sense. So I suppose one of the values as well as of a low code solution, although you have capabilities that are, I suppose, you need a certain skill level to be able to utilize, but for conversational AI to really kind of ramp up as far as adoption is concerned, and for it to really penetrate the enterprise and start really kind of automating things at scale, things need to be available and usable by more people within the business and not strictly kind of technical folks and something like that. So I'm wondering whether maybe Lawrence, you might be able to share a little bit around some of the philosophies on the approach to democratizing some of this stuff, because I know that the AI Studio is straightforward to use. It's low code. How are you thinking at Vonage about enabling broader accessibility to some of that tooling?
I think we look at it in terms of sort of levels of skill required, right? Are you programming, and are you a programmer who understands things, or are you more of a sort of designer? I think we take the view that we don't fully believe that the average business person without any kind of technical or design skills is magically going to create good experiences. We expect there to be somebody with design skills. But they shouldn't need to know how to code things, wire things up, get things working with voice or WhatsApp, and they shouldn't really once they have an intent model, they're building flows and they're trying to sort of work out, well, what was the intent? What do I do with that? But there is a level of sort of what I would call technical design skill in building conversations. And as Amitha's been saying, we can help jumpstart that. We have, conversational AI designers on staff for our contact center customers. We build the whole experience end to end. But for an API customer, maybe they just need a little bit of consulting, a little bit of advice that we might provide. But we're expecting that they have some of those kind of design skills or can come up to speed in those design skills. And they're obviously building it for the ultimate business user. But I'm personally not a believer that the high-end business user is simultaneously an experienced designer, that they're thinking in terms of how does this flow, what makes sense, what's efficient, and so forth. But you don't want to be having to write code, and you don't want to have to work out how to wire up all the communication channels. You want that all in the tool. So, I mean, I think that's how we view it's bringing the level up, but making it possible for people who are thinking in terms of experience design.
Definitely. I suppose some of the I wouldn't say trends, probably the wrong word, but some of the things that contribute to what is, I think a lot of people understand that there's a lot of bad experiences out there, a lot of poor chatbots, a lot of things that don't work. I literally saw one the other day, and it was kind of like, it said something like, "Welcome to such and such. How can I help you? I can help with this or that." And it was a picture online. Someone just said that, like whatever the second option was, but ever so slightly rephrased. It wasn't even barely rephrased, it was just ever so slightly. And the message that come on the return was, it wasn't even, "Oh, sorry, you didn't get that." It was a complete repetition of the first message. And I had the exact same experience when I tried to rebook a delivery of a bed the other day. Called up this number. In fact, I could probably show you it. I've got my phone on me. I called up this number and I said, the assistant said, "Welcome to your automated assistant. If you want to try our new name recognition service, press 2. If you want to do something, if you know the extension of the number you want to dial it now. And if you want to speak to an agent, press 0. So I pressed 0 and it said, "I'm sorry, we can't transfer you right now. Welcome, I'm your automated assistant." It went straight back to the beginning of the whole conversation. It was like, oh my God, what? This isn't even conversational AI. This is just a really, really poorly designed IVR tree. And so with so much sort of out there, which has been built on people's, I suppose, lack of understanding, certainly a lack of design thinking and customer experience design thinking and UX design thinking in all of these kind of implementations, there's almost like a I don't know, some of the platforms have different approaches to helping people and onboarding people and all that kind of stuff. But I'm curious about, as you've been working on this platform for 3 years or so, in the development of that, what were some of the stumbling blocks that you noticed were leading to poor experiences, and the kind of things that you've had to kind of overcome in building this kind of Vonage AI Studio? Well, I'd be interested to get both of your kind of thoughts on that. Amitha, what are your kind of observations over the last 2 years, like some of the big stumbling blocks that you've had to help work through?
Yeah, so I think the first and foremost is, as you said, the conversational design, right? So you need to, as Lawrence was pointing out, right? So essentially, developers need not be designers, right? So you need people who need to design that conversational flow. And we have seen that, and that's the reason we have a conversational design team who can go to our customers and they can provide that service to our customers and essentially walk them through on what are the key things that you have to do if you have to implement a conversational design, right? And that's one aspect of it, right? How do you design the conversation? And the second aspect of it is also, if you look at it, right? So each domain is very different, right? So if you are in going to a retail store and you're buying something, the kind of message that comes up and the kind of flow that goes in there has to be defined a little differently than if you're going to a doctor and asking for an appointment, or if you're going to an insurance website and asking for help there, right? So in addition to the designing of the flow itself, I think it's also the need for either having the business leaders or subject matter experts, if you will, uh, a combination of that, right? Provide an input into what does that domain need in order to have a better flow experience, right? And a combination of that will definitely lead to a better flow design. And the second aspect of it is really taking the feedback, right? Because if you can't expect to have a chatbot roll out a chatbot and that perform perfectly, right? You might want to have a chatbot for routine tasks first, and then see what are the other questions that your customers are asking, right? And take that feedback and put it and give that feedback back to your designers who can really combine that three different angles to it, right? How would the natural design thinking process would be, what are the other things that our customers are asking, and what is that healthcare needs, right? Is that empathy, because healthcare probably, if you say, or even in insurance, right? If I go and go to the chatbot and say I want to have that claim, I want to file a claim. I think if it says, hey, you know what, are you okay? Are you in an accident? Or something like this will build that empathy and will give the kind of human touch, right? Because how much ever automation you want to do, people are actually looking for that human touch, right? So that's one aspect to it. And then the second aspect that you have to think really is, would you have it as a totally automated service, or is it in a combination of automation and a human, right? A bot and a human, a hybrid approach. Because more so, I think more bots that I've seen, I get so frustrated. I'm like, how do I even get to a human now, right? And there have been instances where I've typed all sort of combinations, right? I want a representative, assistance, human, and nothing came out of it. So I think it's also the combination of having that human and the bot collaborate and correlate the data. And finally, I think it's really also the feedback, right? So feedback that will go into the training of building that new entities, new intents, and creating that overall experience. So I think those probably, in my view, are key things that you have to keep in mind while you're designing experience.
What about you, Lawrence? What are some of the sort of like key challenges you've seen teams kind of come up against
So,
over the
so
last
I'd
few
like
years?
to take a little step back to frame it and look at the different people who are our customers. So at one end of the spectrum, you have enterprises and providers, often who have contact centers or self-service that they want to automate. But the other end of our spectrum is the digital natives, the startups who become unicorns, who become leading tech companies. And they see themselves in the business of building experiences, right? I mean, the Uberization or the disruption of any industry is usually fundamentally about, I'm going to change the experience, I'm going to change the process, and by that, I'm going to seize the value out of this market. So I think the enterprises of the world, the businesses, the people who are building these bad experiences, they need to see themselves as being in, an experience competition with the best out there. I think the pandemic has meant that consumers have become very expert. They know exactly which interactions work. Why is it that Amazon can deliver fresh vegetables to my front door better than my local supermarket, right? You're competing with everybody in the market. And if you as an enterprise say, well, we're going to save some money by putting a bad bot in front of everything, then you are going to lose the experience war, right? It's not just that you're frustrated, you're not going to go back to that company, right? The studies that we've done, we do surveys globally, is that people are even more frustrated than they were. And we were talking about it with an analyst, and we summarized it in one word. We're still delivering these bad experiences, and we expect customers to stay. Customers are saying they're not going to stay, right? If I have a choice, I'm going to move. So in order to get, I'm suggesting a sort of a long way to get a better experience is take it seriously. And if you don't take it seriously, you are going to lose business. And our customers who are very intent on building the best experiences for insurance, right? The insurtechs, the health techs, the fintechs, the ed techs, whoever they are, they will come and eat your lunch if you're not focused on better experiences. If people deliver the kind of experience you had, then the next time you're out looking for a vendor, you're going to be saying, well, maybe this new, insurtech or fix my car tech company is going to do a better job. And lo and behold, these innovators will do a better job. So I think all enterprises need to make the investment in what we were calling sort of designer or rather customer experience thinking. And just a suggestion for enterprises, something that's striking me is we sell to these two audiences and often at the same company, but they don't necessarily talk to each other. So if you're on the contact center floor, customer experiences, maybe you should go down to the basement and talk to your developers who are busy building your apps, your products, new things, and are not talking to you and don't even know there's a contact center. So even internally, you're not fully leveraging the resources you have if these different parts of the organization, right? The developers certainly don't report to the contact center manager, and the contact center doesn't report to product, but are you even talking to each other? Are you leveraging those skills? And do you see that customer experience is the foundation for competition in the post-pandemic economy? And if you're not making that investment, then you'll be quite happy delivering bad experiences that you experienced, and that's not going to be good for you.
Why is it that some companies seem so content at delivering poor experiences? I've moved banks. This is no lie. My personal bank, I moved banks 3 times before I found the bank I'm with now. Happy to say I'm with Monzo now. I will happily do a plug because if you have good experiences, you'll tell 2 people, and if you have bad experiences, you'll tell 10 people. So here's me telling the 10 people my bad experience of Metro Bank for my business. I moved house about 12 months ago. I updated my address in the app 12 months ago. Every time I get a statement, I look at it and it always has my old address on it. It's been something I just thought was a glitch. Anyway, I was moving my phone contract from my personal to the business. I had to provide proof of address. So I goes into the bank, go to the section where I updated my address. I saw that there was address updated. So I went to generate a statement and my old address was on there. So I called the bank. And no lie, I was on hold for about, I would say, a good 20 minutes. The level of verification I had to go through just to speak to somebody about my account was frightening. I genuinely forgot almost everything. I had to trawl up old emails from 2018 with my customer reference number on it. Honestly, it took me about 15 minutes to get through security. Then finally, I gave the person my new address, and they said, right, okay, your statements will be sent to that address. But to get a proof of address for where your bank is registered to, you'll have to speak to your business account manager. And I was like, what? So you're telling me that I've just spent the last 40 minutes on the phone, waiting to get on the phone, waiting to get through the ability to be able to actually speak to you on the phone. Now I finally spoke to you and done the transaction. I've only actually done half of the transaction. And apparently I have to go and speak to my business advisor. So, basically, if he'd have just transferred me, that would have been fine. Worst case scenario, transfer me to them immediately. So it's and I am now actively moving bank from Metro Bank to another bank, likely Monzo, but somewhere else. Because exactly what you've just said, Lawrence. But
and
why is that?
I like to call this you're investing to annoy your customers, because it's not actually cheaper, right? The amount of time you spent there with different people, quite apart from it being your time, was thousands of dollars of expense. So they're spending more money to do it badly, and they're annoying you in the process. So they've decided to invest their money in annoying you and losing you as a customer. And that just seems like a poor investment to me. What you're also seeing there, which is something that we think is very important, is the interlock between AI and the experience in the business process. Right? These things have to sort of fit together, because half of your problem there was not so much the experience, the interface, although you spent way too long on it. It was that the business processes are not interlocked with the experience. And that's where, the new banks, the competitive banks, the digital banks will take over. I've hated my bank for a long time, and I moved. The only downside is I no longer get to go to conferences and talk about how much I hate my bank. These businesses will go out of business. Sometimes we're asked, well, why do I need APIs? Are they important for enterprises? Well, is it important to stay in business? Is it important to have experiences that are going to keep your customers? Because you are in a very competitive market now. Everybody is coming into your space. Tech companies are coming in. The small companies are coming in. Startups are coming in. Digital transformation is essential because your competitors don't see it as transformation. They see it as disruption. They see it as they're going to transform your business all right by taking it away from you. So if companies that realize that will focus on experience and will try and fix those back-end processes, and organizations that don't will lose customers, lose profitability, and will go out of business. So, capitalist evolution will take its toll. But that is the imperative for businesses, and why AI and tools for AI and integration are important, because you're competing with experience. Experience is at least as important as whatever product you happen to have. And if it's a bad experience, you're not going to retain customers. And it's costing you more. You're investing in losing them.
Investing in losing customers. That's probably what we should have called this episode. People are investing heavily in losing customers. Which it's just mental, isn't it? It's absolutely mental. I mean, a lot of it is sort of, I suppose, cultural is one thing. Businesses that don't really move very quickly, businesses that are very set in their ways. There's a big status quo kind of situation going on. And I suppose distraction is another. Sometimes people are so busy distracted fighting fires that they forget to realize that actually if they just walk away from the fire and build a new camp over there, it would actually be a lot better. Or if they just stepped away for a moment and tried to think of a better way of controlling the fire, then they would, be in a better place because of it. And so a large part of well, there's so much to it in terms of this digital transformation stuff, but a large part of getting it right is developing a culture based on constant feedback, starting with a customer-centric lens, basing everything on the front end, especially around the customer needs, architecting your back-end processes to reflect what is required on the front end to deliver that customer experience, and then constantly taking data from the front end and iterating the back end in accordance to that, and also the front end. So there's a big kind of culture needing to be developed, which is all about taking data in, analyzing it, making a decision, making a change or iteration, taking that data in. Did it make a difference, yes or no? How can we keep improving? And so you alluded to it earlier on, Amitha, in terms of the analytics components. And when it comes to a conversational interface, one of the huge value adds, or not even a huge value add, it's part of the core value of a conversational interface, is that unlike a website where you're just guessing what people actually want, people are actually telling you what they want, and that's all they are doing. So how do you approach that kind of analysis concept, taking data from the front end, understanding it, and making it useful for people to make decisions on? I wonder if you can shed some light on how the analytics side of things works.
Sure. So essentially, I think one of the things that I wanted to add to that discussion and sort of bring it back to your question is, I think we've talked about the backend processes and the need to improve the backend processes. I think one of the things that really, one of the biggest mistakes that many companies also do is due to the urgency, right? Because they've seen their competition get into the whole digital transformation business, and they want to be in that space as well. So they just extend their existing processes to deliver the new technology, and that's a big no-no, right? So I think when you are transforming yourself into a digital customer experience, you just can't have the old system and the new system running together. I mean, of course, there are some ways where you have to put some hooks to make sure everything flows well. You don't make your customer feel that gap. But I think that's one of the things. And that also falls into this discussion, because when you think of analytics, right? So if you have, let's say, if you have traditional telephony system and your calls are being processed, recorded, and they are analyzed in a different system, whereas now with chatbots, you are getting different kind of data, and that's at a different place. So if you have to really bring that experience together for a customer, then you don't have the right kind of data, right? So you're looking at two discrete kind of data sources, and bringing them together. So I think that's one aspect of disconnect that happens. But I think just in terms of analytics itself, I agree that it's very important for us to bring that together whenever a customer is asking for something in the chatbot. So we bring in different so we, as I said, different modalities, right? Whether it's text or voice. And again, there are different aspects to text and voice, because text is structured data, voice is typically unstructured data. So I think we need to keep all these in mind. But I think bringing out the intent out of all the conversations that happen, whether it's a chatbot, whether the conversation starts off as a chat bot, a customer is asking for something, the bot responds to something. I think extracting that intent and making sure that intent and context is carried over across different channels is very important, and that sort of brings in the analytics aspect as well, because you know what the customer is doing, you know the intent of the customer, you know the context of the customer, and we bring that back into across the board what the customers are doing. And typically we have different reporting structures as well. So we have typically things like for our customers, especially if they are using our studio platform, we have custom tags on how the flow has gone from one API to another, which flow was successful, which flow was a failure. So which flows have gone from a chat bot to a human agent. I think all this data is actually the transactional data, along with the intent data, will actually bring together the whole picture of what has happened, and the analysis around that. And if you have the third party aspects to it, right? Whether it is if you are connecting to a CRM and getting some CRM data. So I think that is also something that customers might want to look at, right? So how do I now leverage and reconcile different real time aspects of the data that we get from the bots and the voice and the video and so on, and the non real time data that we get from the CRM, and the different aspects of the transactional data, and how do I build my customer profile. I think that's the responsibility of the developers and the customers on how they build that profile and take it forward.
I think part of what we're saying here is that this is more than just the AI moment. You were talking about skills earlier, that this is a commitment to digital transformation. And I wanted to make some suggestions for mid to large organizations about how to do that in terms of what we see. So we see some organizations building innovation labs. You know, they're small labs. You bring in a bunch of people who are going to focus on this. That's where proof of concept, quick proof of concept, getting things out, you know, building on a platform like Vonage where I can be essentially in production with a proof of concept, at least testing it. I can be, all digital channels lend themselves to A/B testing. You only got to deliver it to a slice of people and see what happens. So build yourself an innovation lab. I think most mid to large enterprises are relying on platforms. So there's some platform, whether it's a health platform or an insurance platform, or a finance platform, an e-commerce platform, put massive pressure on the platform. Spend a little bit of time going to investigate the coolest startup in the space, and then go to your platform provider and say, I think I'm moving to them. And force your platform provider to help you build experiences into the platform. So we talk about some of our customers are the startups, but some of our customers are the platforms in each industry who are saying, we need to be the ones that help the enterprises build the experience. So if you're not on a platform that's helping you do that, I think you can apply pressure on them to, you know, what are you doing? What are you creating? How are you going to put AI in the experience? How are you going to do it for me? And you can threaten them with the startups and the barbarians at the gates and say, you know, well, why can't you do what they're doing? And And that for us, from our perspective, is fine. We want to see this technology embedded in the platforms that people use. We want to see the technology built by startups who are showing what can be done. And we want the enterprises to do some of it themselves. We've seen a few enterprises spin out their innovation labs and turn them into startups. So they say, okay, these people want to be independent. I'm going to fund them with the first big contract, and they'll be able to say their first big customer is me. But I want them to go off and be innovative, but for me, on my terms, right? I'm going to help drive where that goes. So these are all organizational elements. So how do you organize around innovation? How do you organize around transformation in order to take advantage of the tools? And I think perhaps something we're learning from this conversation is it's not just about the AI and the tools. It's about the focus on experience. It's about the design of proper experiences and the organizational and transformational approaches you put around it that will ultimately lead to success.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about, to be honest. It's the same as digital transformation more broadly. The difference here is only the front end is conversational. The data is richer. Some of the specific processes might be slightly different, but still the exact same high level framework of agile iterative development and stuff like that. And as all digital transformation programs rely on, 110% is your people fostering the right kind of culture and giving them the right kind of tools to do the job and giving them the autonomy and freedom to do it without getting embroiled in the bureaucracy and all that kind of stuff. And so it's the same stuff. But I think that the difference this time is that conversational AI it's the exciting part. It's the thing that hooks people in. Oh, what do you mean? We can build conversations. We can just have automated conversations. It's like a really exciting factor that then is just a conduit to a bigger discussion about exactly those things that you've just said. Who's going to do this? What technology do we need? What is our business process behind the scenes? Who's the customer? What do they need? How are we going to stitch it all together? Our technology, our people, our processes to make sure that everything works seamlessly on the front end. And that front end is the conversational AI bit, but everything else is it's all about the business, isn't it?
Yeah, but obviously don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? I mean, take the iterative approach, build something that works in a corner of the business, then expand it. If you just wait for your entire business to be fixed before you do the front end, then there'll be nobody out there by the time you get there. So our approach and the Vonage approach, the API approach, is all about iteration, speed, and getting focused things done. And we provide API tools where you can start for free. You can get an account. AI Studio is free. You pay for the voice transactions or the end transactions. You can get started as a development team very rapidly.
Wicked. And to do that, I'm imagining that people can go to there's a co.uk website. I'm in the UK. Obviously, it's good to have it to the co.uk website. Vonage.co.uk/AI. Is where you can get into it if you're in the UK. I'm assuming if I just went to vonage.com/AI, is it going to give me the same thing? It has. Vonage.com/AI. There you go. Someone's been working hard on behind the scenes of the Vonage website there. Is there any other specific resources you would send people to? Like, is that the right place? Vonage.com/AI. It looks like scaling customer experiences with conversational AI.
That is absolutely the right starting point, and anybody who's on the development side can start at developer.vonage.com. And one of the nice things about APIs is all the documentation is online and available. Every API is downloadable. You can create an account, right? You don't have to talk to us. You don't have to buy anything. You can get started exploring things directly, starting vonage.com/AI or on the developer site.
Perfect. Wicked. Well, Lawrence, Amitha, thank you so much for joining us. This has been absolutely fantastic. And let's join again in another year and a half's time. Maybe let's not leave it that long next time. And see how things are going, definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And for those that are tuning in, thank you for staying to the end. Voice Summit, you're going to see Vonage at Voice Summit. We're going to do a panel discussion. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to be talking about the future of conversational AI and the future of conversational automation, digital humans, and all that kind of stuff, and where all that's heading, and the practical implications rather of doing that stuff today. If you want to go to there, go to voicesummit.ai. VUX20 is the promo code to save 20%. Vonage.ai Vonage.com, /AI if you want to find out more. Or developer, is it developer or developers.vonage.ai?
Developer, he says, hopefully.
Developer.vonage.ai. Let me just double check.
No, developer.vonage.com is the starting point.
Yes, yeah, .com. Yeah, I keep saying .ai. Everyone seems to have .ai domain names, and it's like it just rolls off the tongue. .ai. Cool. Developer.vonage.com. Perfect. Thank you so much, Lawrence, Amitha. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay.